Hello, hello, hello. We are about to go live. Well, let's just go live. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V, alongside looking at him, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette, because you can watch us on YouTube as well. Go to youtube.com/tags podcast. How you doing, Kodi?
Clock it. Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. Everybody go watch us on YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can even go to our Tags Patreon community where you can listen or watch us over there as well. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. I see some familiar faces. Doug, James, Anthony, all coming into the mix as we want you to weigh in on our discussion tonight, and we're just going to get into it. This is episode 706, and we are talking about the topic of tonight because we're getting into sex talk is when hookups go weird. It is Halloween, Kodi, so we're talking about the horror stories nobody
Oh, yeah.
wants warns you about. We are basing it on two articles that we will tell you about in just a second that highlight hookups that seem to start off normal but spiral into unexpected, even creepy territory. One is about Grindr catfishing, and the other is about double hookup with roommates in bunk beds. Chaos, confusion, and strange dynamics all ensue in tonight's episode stories. And we are digging into the weirdest, riskiest, hilarious sides of modern gay hookup culture. And we're doing it because it really is. It's so funny, Kodi, before we get into breaking down these two stories that will ultimately flesh out what we're talking about is
Yep.
it is Halloween season. And a little known fact about me is, while I'm not necessarily always into getting dressed up for Halloween every season, I appreciate everyone's effort. I
Mhm.
am into the season. I'm into fall, autumn, and all of the decorations.
Pumpkin spice.
And pumpkins, not that like I love, we're going to start putting pumpkins into, because I am getting married and my family's starting to visit starting this weekend, and we're redecorating, de-gaying a little, not de-gaying, but de-sexualizing parts of my apartment before my mother gets here. She is 88. Say
Are you
what
gonna
you
put a cross
want.
up like in the birdcage?
No, not that crazy, but
Oh, so
that is
good.
funny. Maybe I'll watch that just for fun, shits and giggles. But I do love Halloween, and Diego and I, have been watching horror films every single night. Like, put on another horror film, put on another one. And I just love it. And we're just getting
The
into it.
best.
But what a perfect, by the way, before we get into our discussion, are you dressing up this season? Are you a Halloween person? What is up?
Yes, I'm a Halloween person. I think that being in my last relationship and even before then, I always wanted to dress up. You've been out with us on Halloween before. It was a great time. I want to be a Saja boy. I want to do something. It's simple. It's
A what
have you
boy?
a Saja boy? Have you seen K-pop Demon Hunters?
Don't even know you're speaking different languages here.
You have to watch it. It's so good. It's everybody's talking about it. We gotta. We'll watch it together. I'll come over. We'll watch it. Maybe your mom will like it too. It's actually not. It's like not sexual at all. It's a cartoon, as a matter of fact. And it's about some K-pop artists that save the world, basically.
Oh,
So, but
okay.
yeah, one of the other types of people that are there are that there are their adversaries are these demons, and they're the Saja boys, and they wear this cool hat and these robes, and it's totally dope. So I can't wait to be that for Halloween.
For those listening, where can people watch it? Just because you're
It's
referencing
on
it.
Netflix. It's on Netflix.
And
Yes.
how do you spell it? Sodger Boys? I don't understand.
So it's K-pop Demon Hunters is the movie. K-pop Kpop and just Demon Hunters for the to
Okay.
see the movie. And Saja Boys is Saja, I believe.
Okay, you gave enough. I love it. And yeah, it's so funny because it's Halloween and I'm getting married, and maybe the two don't, and I'm watching all these horror films, but I'm into it right now. And
Yeah. Are you
it's
dressing up at all?
No, well, I am immediately after the wedding going to work with Vakaya in Mexico, and they have a lot of, they're doing Dia de los Muertos and having a lot of parties. and I will probably wear some costumes all week long
Yeah.
because it's a big
That was fun when we did
party
that.
week. Yeah, so I will. But I'm kind of focused on my wedding and what I'm wearing, and it's not a costume; it's a look, an outfit. I have a
Luke,
scent.
honey.
Yes, but let's get into the first story because this is our Halloween special on stories of diabolical hookup stories. The first starts with the tale of a bunk bed double hookup is absolutely diabolical. It started with this TikToker who really shared with his story. Let me see if I can get his name because we should probably shout him out. Mason Daniel 69, he goes by. I will put it on textpodcast.com. He tells of a story basically where he met up with a guy at a party. They hooked up. The guy brought him back to the apartment. There was bunk beds because I think they were of that certain age, and they used the bottom bunk bed to get the deed on. The guy was cute. It was romantic. It ended really nicely, so much so that the guy walked him home at this particular walkway to just make sure he kind of got home
It was a
safely.
shortcut to his
Kind of a
house.
shortcut that
Yeah.
the said guy didn't know of. Cut
Yes.
to, and he was thinking, Mason was thinking, oh my gosh, this was like a really good like hookup. Maybe I'd want to get together with him again. Well, Mason gets invited to another party the next day. I think he's in college. He goes to another party, meets up with a different guy, really good energy, and the guy invites him home, and it turns out he's looking around at the apartment and it looks very similar. Well, it's the same apartment and with the same bunk beds, only it's a different night, different guy, and they still get together on that bottom bunk. Only the guy says this is his bunk, so meaning he had hooked up with the former guy the night before on the other guy's bottom bunk.
On the
Because who wants
roommate's
to go to
bunk
the
bed.
top bunk and fall off and have to go to the emergency room is what I say. Eh, the same
God.
guy. So the new guy at the end of it, they have a really good hookup and basically says, I'm going to show you a short way home. Apparently, it's a
The same
thing.
shortcut. Yeah.
Same shortcut to get home. So now he's in a conundrum because he's into both of these guys, and he proceeds to tell the story that he hooks up with both of them at different times. And the story is entitled Diabolical because the story of two bunk beds and two different people at two different times. It wasn't that diabolical to me because I had this story happen to me back in the day when I lived in Los Angeles back in the day, where I met a bartender at the iconic Abbey and we hooked up. We dated for a while. I would go home, we would have sex at his apartment in Hollywood, and it was all great. Well, I even brought him to San Francisco at one point to meet my family because we were
Aw.
going to this fashion shout out to Passport, people that know Passport San Francisco, and it was really great until, it just fizzled out and we were no longer boyfriends anymore.
Yeah.
Cut to, I met his roommate at Gold's Gym, and who also was a bartender at the Abbey at the time and lived in the same apartment as the guy that I had dated. So I was a little bit like, oh shit. But somehow, Kodi, we managed to, I would go to see the new guy. I was almost going to say his name, but and
That was me last week.
when the original guy wasn't there, and somehow we had amazing sex, the second guy and I'm still friends with actually both of them, interestingly enough, acquaintance wise, I would have to say. One lives in Australia now, one lives here in New York. But as the crazy gay world goes, but I carried that on where I would go, and I was just always to the second one. I can never be there when your roommate is there because, like, we dated even,
But
and
that was
it
a
would
long
just
time ago, right? How much time was in between that you dated
not
these 2
that much
people?
time is the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing. It's kind
Oh.
of this case of of what we're talking about here. No, it was not that long afterwards. So the first one
Drama,
being
juicy.
that I met at they were both bartenders at the Abbey. I don't think I put all that together, that they were roommates and all of that, until I went over, started dating the first guy. But I knew I liked
Mm,
the other guy too. But the first guy and I dated for a period of time, and then when it
mhm.
didn't work out, it wasn't awful. It just, we just kind of
Fizzled
parted
out. It
ways. But
happens.
still,
Yeah,
I don't know that he would have liked me then hooking up, because it was
with
more
his
hooking up sexually with his roommate after that, which we carried
yeah.
on really hot sex. He would pin me against the wall for a period of
Oh,
time.
so it's
Yeah,
worth the danger. The
yeah. And
danger probably added to it, right?
it definitely did. The last thing I'll say on it is everything worked out in the end, because I just think no one ever, the other one never found out. He's living a very productive, fun life. The one that I hooked up with is, we're still friends, and I think that's our life sometimes. But what do you think about
Yeah.
this story of the diabolical bunk bed story? And do you have anything relatable, or is this just nuts to you?
Oh yeah, I definitely have been in that situation before. I've actually gone to places and been like, "Wait, I've been here before. What and how and why have I
Yeah.
been here before?" But it hasn't been with roommates. My story is, and this kind of just sparked with me when you told your story about the bartenders. I dated two bartenders that worked in the same place, like at the same time, basically. Not dated. I had
Oh.
sex with one of them, and then I was dating another bartender that worked at the same place. So I had sex with this guy, right? And it was hot. He invited me over. We had sex with this other guy. It was a nice threesome, and it was just fantastic. It was great sex. And I found out he was a bartender at this bar. And then, so I went in to go see this guy that I had sex with. And then when I went in to go see him, just, it's just to say what's up, I was in the area. He wasn't there, but another guy that I was interested in a long time ago, we had been just talking and flirting and things of that nature. He was there. So the second guy, we'll call him Boo. And then the first
Okay.
guy is John. Okay, that's not anywhere near his name. So Boo was there, and he was tending the bar. So we reconnected, and we started to date and talk more. Flash forward to about like 2 weeks later was Pride. We were both in the same bar, and they were. I was like, oh, I never see them there together. They must not ever work together. Happened Fate happened that they were there at the same time on the same bar, and I was panicked because I hadn't said anything to uh
Mm.
to Boo about this. So yeah, so everything turned out okay because I was able to dip and dodge in that situation and navigate both of them so that neither one of them knew because it was Pride and it was busy. So but then after that directly I was totally panicked and I had to tell Boo. I was like, look, I fuck this guy that you work with, and he was like, well, I hate him, so
I mean, I think this is why we started with these initial stories, because I even think with the story at hand, they are very young. We're talking about bunk beds here. It's like
bunk
college
beds,
years.
girl.
That gay guys initially, I wouldn't say we're messy, but we're very sexual. And I think when it becomes messier is if, cheating is involved, or you're lying and all that stuff is going on. When it just comes to like, oh, I hooked up with this guy. Oh, I hooked up with him too. And roommates are involved, or friendships are involved, but nobody's developed like a serious thing. So, like in
Yeah,
my case, we were dating,
yeah,
but it was dating. We even went on a trip together from LA to San Francisco, but ultimately it just fizzled out. Like we both moved on agreeably, actually, amicably,
nice.
separately. I think if we really had just come forth at the time and said, "Hey, I'm hooking," although it would just be awkward, like, "Oh, I'm still coming to your apartment, but I'm hooking up with your roommate," probably would have been a little bit awkward and not
That would have been,
received well.
yeah,
But
strange.
if we were to tell him now, I think it would be like laughing it off, because they were super close, and I think it's kind of part of our community at times. We can be a little bit messy sometimes, but it only gets very messy if people are like if there's a lot of lying going on and and we're just crossing boundaries. I think what we're talking about and why we chose this story to start off with is that, we are messy, gays, queer
We can
men in
be.
general. And
Well,
in general, it can just be harmless but fun storytelling and to put it kind of in your storytelling book like we're telling right now. Did you want to say one more thing before we move on
no,
to the
you
more
know, I agree with you. I think that as long as you're being honest and forthcoming about what has transpired, I feel like a lot of this hurt feelings can be alleviated. I think that when like things are going to come up regardless, but if you are honest about things, then that goes a long way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Now we're moving into our next story that is related to our overall topic. And this one has to do with a story, the Grindr catfish tale is kind of a full-on gay horror story. The Grindr horror story economy is thriving these days, according to the Queerty article, so much so that we could probably have an entire column devoted to it. Elvin Schwartz, who is the person now that we're talking about, causes, oh, excuse me, the person we're talking about, podcaster and crapopolis, crap,
Oh,
crapopolis,
Crapopolis. Oh, which is a great show.
crapopolis.
I didn't even know that was him. He's cute, kind of. I mean, he could
He's
call
very
me
cute.
shit. Yeah.
But
Uh,
excuse me. Yeah. So, podcaster and Crapopolis writer Ethan Judelson recently shared a Grinder mishap with us. You know him, you follow him, I take it.
I watch his show, Crapopolis. I think it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And
He's back with the
I
new
loved
season.
this story that he told. You didn't realize it was him, I guess. But
Not until
um, yeah, it all started on a dark and stormy night, or at least that's what we're saying. Put a finger down if we were messaging with a guy on a particular app and you're exchanging photos back and forth. He goes on to say, sounds good, but after the mystery man suggested adding a third to the mix, Juddelson's spidey senses started to tingle. He sends you a photo of someone who is less attractive than he is, he explains, and you're like, yeah, sure, fine, this could be fun. Although I don't think if somebody sent me somebody that was less attractive, I would be, yeah, okay,
you'd
let's
be
go
into it.
for it.
I would be
And
like,
haven't we told stories like this before where people are like, yeah, okay, well, maybe they're not as attractive as their picture, but sure. i'm
let's
like
go for it.
I'm like,
I wouldn't do that.
no.
I've told people no before. I've been like, no,
Yeah.
I want it to be me and you. That's it.
But I feel like it's been recent, like people are like, yeah, let's go for it. So he goes, it could be fun, but it could also be a disaster. After making plans to meet up, Judelson quickly found himself in a pickle when the original guy messaged that his friend would be arriving before him. Friend shows up as Judelson's door, and it's awkward. He comes in and immediately tries to get things going with kind of an intensity. And Judelson's like, maybe let's both wait for said guy, the original guy that we know and that we've been talking to. But that was not in the cards for the friend, who quickly explains that he doesn't know that person at all and was simply giving Judelson's address randomly. At this point, Judelson quite smells a rat. He messaged the original guy to ask the question none of us ever want to ask: who the fuck is in my house right now? Are you getting the Halloween vibes right now?
This is
Judelson,
wild.
Judelson politely tries to get this Rander out of his house. And this is like our Halloween episode. We should just really entitle that. And thankfully managed to
Ooh,
do this before locking the door, before
we should have
we all
flashlights on our faces like right now.
I know. Ooh, this is really scary because I think, yeah, I have been victim to people trying to get a third involved, but never to the point where I let somebody else infiltrate. Because do we really believe that there was this original guy? What was
No.
the motive going on with this? What are your thoughts on this? We'll break it down a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that this was a total setup. I think that the original profile was probably a fake profile for this person that came over to the house, and because it's it sounds a little bit suspicious because uh, he wanted to get right into it, and I understand. Like, if you don't really want to wait for somebody else if they're running behind, especially if it's a hookup. I've been in spaces to where we
Yeah.
were supposed to have a third, and they were just behind, or I've been the one behind, and they got started before me, and I just jumped right in there. But I think in this situation, it sounds more like he was behind a fake profile and he knew that he wasn't that attractive, or he could get a better placement with a more attractive picture. So I think that this is something that people need to be. I can't believe that is diabolical right there.
It really is because it's scary, and in this day and age now, it starts to become like who is who and who is in my house. And maybe I'm watching too many movies with Diego right now with literally titles like that, like who is in my house?
Who is in my house?
We are like scrolling every Netflix because I'm so into it. I just want to curl up on the couch with him every single night and watch a
Aw.
scary movie. And I'm so into it ahead of our wedding, which is the total opposite of it. But I don't know. I'm a little diabolical myself. But I have to say that I have been to when somebody has invited me over and they didn't look like themselves, and I've went deep down into their apartment and I felt a little entrapment, and I needed to get out. Like I think I watched too many of these movies that I get like freaked out, and I can't do enough to like get out. And I'm always like the star of my own movie, and something's always happening.
Okay, J Lo. Oh, we have to go watch Kiss of the Spider Woman, by the way.
Yes, I'm going
We
with my
do.
mother, so please come with us.
Okay, okay. But I agree with you. I've been to spaces and been to go see people who did not look anything like their pictures. Uh, I remember one time in particular, and you said you feel like you went down to a dungeon. I have actually been down to a dungeon, a sex dungeon, with somebody who he looked like his pictures, but the pictures were definitely heightened. There was a little bit more body yaddy yaddy going on than what I experienced in real life, and I just went with it. I got a good review from him. He actually told somebody else that I was really good in bed, and somehow it got back to me on Sniffies that this guy was talking very positively about me and that I was a great good at sex. I
Okay,
don't know
good
why I was so
reviews.
shy
We
to say
love it.
that.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can be really freaky. And Doug watching us live right now, because we are live on the Crowdcast platform. By the way, you can watch us every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. Go to tagspodcast.com. Doug says 13 or 14 years ago, I had a headless torso message me on Grindr, and he wanted to meet in the woods. That was a hard pass. Was it October? Was it Halloween? I mean, part of me is like, you're the making of a new movie. I am so into Halloween stories. I'm just not into the costume per se, but it's like, yeah,
I
it's
mean, I would fuck Jason Voorhees though, or Michael Myers.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Both of them at the same
It
time.
was in the fall,
Eiffel Tower
autumn.
me.
See, Doug, don't do it. Don't
Don't do it, girl.
do it.
That is
You in danger,
that's Jamie Lee
girl.
Curtis waiting to happen, okay?
Yeah, and I just want to take a few wrap up some of these stories that we're talking about because basically we're talking about red flags. We're talking about
Yeah.
spidey senses going off. Why do gay men sometimes take bigger risks when meeting online? Is it validation, Kodi, or is it fantasy?
I think for me, it is you don't wanna miss out on something. It's FOMO for me. I feel like if I don't take that chance or take that shot, then I you never know you could be experiencing from these situations and these meetings that you are getting into. I think that for me, I would rather have the experience and uh, have a little bit of danger. Do as much research and checking into this as much as you can. I know that I have definitely been guilty of not doing any research and just kind of getting up and going. But
Yeah.
I I mean, we're all human, and I'm more than willing to admit it. But I think that in order to be safe, especially in this day and age, we have to be making sure that more often than not, we are doing our due diligence as far as making sure you know where you're going, or you have a relative concept of what this person is or who they are on the other end.
That's why I keep it to the dark room because there is
It's a good
security
idea.
at the front door. I am good to go at the space, and I know I can go home to my own bed that I love, and I can have dirty, fun hookups in the dark room and go home to my own space. But back to the first story, the bunk bed, the diabolical bunk bed story, the story that I shared. Is there any etiquette when hooking up in shared spaces that I mean, is there etiquette or we are a little bit messy? Think of Kodi, think of places like Fire Island where, there's a chance that you could hook up with several of the guys in one house. We are a
If
very
you're
sexual
lucky.
community. If you're is there an
Sounds
etiquette
like fun to me.
protocol?
Shit. Yeah, I think that you have to be respectful of people that you are living with, cohabitating with. I personally don't really bring a lot of people home just because, I mean, I like my own space. And I think that my space is kind of sacred to me. Like, if you're not somebody that I'm dating, I'm probably not going to bring you back to my house, or somebody that I'm interested in romantically, at least. So I do a lot of outpatient calls. So yeah, I normally go out, and sometimes they have roommates, sometimes they don't. I normally hook up with people when their roommates or their boyfriends are not home, because it makes it a lot easier. And I've definitely gotten a lot of messages saying that, like, oh, my roommate is here, it would be difficult for us to, connect right now, and I completely understand that. So yeah, I think that you have to be cognizant of who else is in that space, and sex can get loud. So you definitely need to be cognizant of who you could be interrupting.
Yeah, and you talk about places like, where you live, and yes, there probably is protocol on shared living spaces that we all live in, but this is a perfect moving on to our next story of a new company where it's all about sex progressive travel. And I think all bets are off when you're actually traveling and you're sharing those kinds of spaces. So think Fire Island, think shared camping grounds for a period of time where inhibitions are lowered and people are having a lot of fun. I do think things are a little bit different. And that moves us into who I was working with that I would love to share. I don't think we can share the picture right now, but out.com just did a profile on who I was working with in San Francisco for Folsom Street Fair a couple of weeks ago for the Folsom Street Fair, and it was called Rush. There's a new all gay sex progressive cruise setting sail. Rush, are you the number five? I'll explain the number 5H in a second. A bold new all gay, all male travel and lifestyle brand will be offering kink minded cruises, events, and getaways. I was really happy that out.com chose my picture of my back.
Right? I'm so proud of
And yeah,
you.
that was really nice and fun to see that. But what do I mean by the five? Because it's RU5H and it's all about our senses. They chose the five to signify sex, stimulation, submission, seduction, and satisfaction. Things that will be reflected in Rush, upcoming Rush's darkly decadent parties to round the clock fetish fueled experiences. Rush is engineered for men who want to play harder, let go of inhibitions, break free from personal boundaries, and live out nearly every fantasy. And I was really proud to be a part of the launch of this. The first event will go out in South Florida, and think of like 3-day cruises. It will
Oh,
be out of South Florida. This will be the first ones. It might be at other destinations inland, but the first ones are going to be like really 3-day cruise types that you can explore all those five senses, that the five S's that I mentioned, that you can really just let loose. And interestingly enough, Kodi, there was a Reddit of somebody that was recently writing in saying that they only take vacations when they can. And when they can, they want them to be sex fueled,
Yeah.
like 3 day fueled sexcapades. And they said, before you judge me, I only get a few times off. I do this once a year for myself. I don't have a lot of sex in my hometown for many different reasons, but, and I'm paraphrasing his Reddit, but basically he goes on once a year sexcapade trip, like a 3 to 4 dayer. And that's kind of what Rush can be. It will be for those people that can't do that necessarily, for those that are more experienced, and all will come together to just be really uninhibited. I was really proud to be a part of it. You can go to rush.com, RU5H.com. I'll list it on tagspodcast.com. Enter because you want to hear about these. But what do you think about trips like this that are just these short jaunts to, maybe you don't necessarily need it because you experience sex within your own city, but what do you think about trips like this?
It's okay. I can experience this too. I told you I'm all about experiences, darling.
Yes.
No, I think this is great. I think it's a nice way to, especially if you don't have a lot of time off, you can just go, like, have your jaunt and come back and just be fulfilled and satisfied. And I think it's a great idea. I love people that work on Vakaya, so I know that this is going to be a wonderful experience. It's going to be something that's going to be very well taken care of. Everything, all your T's will be crossed and your I's will be dotted. So I know that I think I can't wait to go. I really want to have one of these experiences and excursions. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really amazing to have a destination where you can just be truly uninhibited, all gay men, all queer men, and be free to experience whatever level you are at in your sexuality, to just experience and be free. And I think the key thing when we were targeting and talking to different people was that they're short little jaunts, and I can get into, when I've gone to places like Palm Springs, for example,
Uh,
to a clothing optional resort for 3 days. That's what I was thinking of. Like, I can get into that kind of mindset and that sexual freedom for that period of time. When I've gone to Key West and I've gone to Island House for 3 days, I've really been uninhibited to explore in this compound that was really very freeing, and I could escape the world for a period of time and just really focus on my sexuality. These are what I think you can experience on these upcoming trips that Rush is putting together, and I really love, because I think we need those periods as queer gay men to just be free and uninhibited, to
let loose.
explore our sexuality on various levels, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. Go to ru5h.com and get into it. It's going to be really
Get into
fun.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, we've got to get into hot topics, and there are so many in such little time. But first off, we had to talk about people like Colton Hayes, Joel Kim Booster, Adam Lambert. So many other celebrities are all posting messages about saying something about PrEP. And if you happen to look at your recent, it's all a new campaign to promote the first National PrEP Day, an initiative from the PrEP telehealth platform, Mr. Remember, we had Tristan on our show years
We
ago,
did. You should have
and
asked us to do this. No.
yeah, exactly. Mr. is really putting forth the National PrEP Day that's going to occur on October 10th. And they're getting celebrities, like I mentioned, to really put the messaging out there on social media to remind other queer and gay men and people in the LGBTQ community that PrEP is here. There is no reason why people should not be getting HIV and AIDS. And their messaging is that we already have the tools to end HIV, the science, the medication, and the technology. But what's missing is the will, the access, and the equity.
Yeah.
Tristan Sheecraft. And Basically, National PrEP Day is about making HIV prevention visible, stigma free, and accessible to everyone. Our goal is bold but achievable: 10,000 new people on PrEP by October 10th. And they say this and do this because people are still contracting HIV daily.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why 100 people a day are diagnosed with HIV in the US every day, Kodi. What do you say to
Yeah.
this and this new messaging that they're getting? Mister is getting celebrities within our community to have a new national prep day.
Now is the time for us to be doing this because the current administration is cutting so much funding from HIV and AIDS. So I'm glad that these stars are out here using their voice and their platform in order to educate the community, because this is what needs to be done. So many people could avoid being diagnosed with HIV or acquiring it. I think that this is amazing. I think that is one of the best creations, best things that have come out of the HIV research that has been out there in the world in the past 10 years. I think it helps stem the growth of HIV so much. So I'm so glad that they're out here using their voice, and I'm glad that Mister is helming the front, because wow, it's really good. I'm glad that they're putting their voice out there, and I hope that people listen.
Yeah, it's science, it's keeping us safe, and the other reason is with healthcare being threatened, right? For people
Hmm.
not getting their healthcare. I know I get my Truvada, my prep via my healthcare currently. Let's hope, knock on wood, that I continue to get it. But Mister actually works with healthcare providers, but also can give it to you for free if
Yes.
not, because
Hmm.
they work with Gilead. But they also want people to know that yes, to go is now being administered, that they can provide too. It's the first twice yearly injectable version of PrEP that the
Oh,
FDA
wow.
is providing. And that's another thing. And there are also storefronts in various neighborhoods. So think West Hollywood, the Castro, Hell's Kitchen here in New York, Wilton Manors, North Halston in Chicago, Oak Lawn in Dallas, Texas, and of course, Las Vegas, Nevada, where there's actual storefronts where you can go, Mr. Storefronts, and you can visit them as well. But of course, the Mr. website, you can always go and provide in your information and get access to prep. So I love the initiative. I think we do need October 10th, National Prep Day. I will be posting on it, and this is an amazing breakthrough, and keep it going, because there is no reason at this point that people should be contracting HIV in 2025.
I
And let us
agree.
put that out there. Yeah. So oh my gosh. Okay, moving on. Rolling Stone decided to cause some controversy. You know, when you talk music, Kodi, you're putting out music soon. You have
Yes.
an EP coming out, and we're so excited to hear it.
I
But
just sent you a song yesterday.
you did, and I loved it. It is so good. Rolling Stone decided to put out the 250 greatest songs of the 21st century from 2000 to today. So 25 years, that makes sense. And they didn't do one per year, but they did within the years. There are so many songs within 250. I went through the entire list. I
Did
kind of
you?
focused towards the end
Yeah, me
to
too.
see the top 10
Oh
because I wanted
my.
to see. I, of course, saw my Madonna in there with Hung Up, which I thought was really cool because she is coming out with Confessions on the Dance Floor Part 2 next year. So that just makes sense that that would be there. I also saw Bad Bunny in there.
Yep.
He's having a moment. He is the most streamed artist and is going to be playing the Super Bowl. So I was really happy to see with that. Of course, Taylor Swift, of course, Beyonce made the list. But some of the top 10 really were interesting. And I think let's just go to the number one song was Missy Elliott,
I
which
could
I
not believe
love.
it, but I
It's one
love
of my
it.
favorite songs of all time. And Get Your Freak On, right? Was the,
Yeah, get your freak
yeah,
on.
Get Your Freak On. I loved that that was the number one song because I remember that. I used to teach ab class. Shout out to Eddie in LA. And that we just like but she had a moment in time that was everything Missy Elliott, not just
Bring
that
that moment
song.
back.
She introduced us to Ciara, and it was just like a movement, a dance moment. Who was the producer that worked with
Timbaland.
her? I mean, come on. It was just like a moment in time. I was also happy that Robin Dancing on My Own, come on, number
Right? I
6.
was shocked to see that, but I was so pleasantly surprised because I live for I told you I've seen her like 3 times in concert. So, I love her. I'm so glad that she's on this list because I don't think she gets enough recognition. So, I was pleasantly surprised by that.
And also coming out with new music in the new year. Beyonce's, of course, Crazy in Love, number 3. And it's probably my favorite song. It's probably going to be on my wedding list. And there was a bunch, obviously, 250. We couldn't go through the whole list. Were
Yeah.
you, as somebody that is putting out new music and to see the list of people that they included, obviously they're not going to get it right. There was Maxwell made the list too, and it wasn't even like that original album that we all like knew and loved, but it was like a
Mhm.
different song. Of course, Kendrick Lamar, who had a couple of songs on there. I mean, on and
That's my
on.
favorite
Rock
song by
rock
him.
bands from you know from think 2000 to today. What do you think it takes to make a pop song that really connects with everybody, but that you're also putting into your own music? Are you thinking about that when you make music, or you just is that not the way to go about it? You just want to make music that you love?
So, I do think that there is a certain I don't wanna say formula because I think that makes it too simplistic. I think that there is a certain rhythm or a flow that a good song has, and I think a lot of these songs have it. There's a build that certain really, really good songs have, but I think that at the end of the day, it comes down, does it connect to your audience? I think that that is the most important thing. I think that when you put your soul and your heart into music, the listening audience can feel it. So I get that from all of these songs. Get Your Freak On makes me want to dance. Dancing on My Own makes me want to dance and cry at the same time. All Right by Kendrick Lamar, that makes me want to dance and you know overthrow the government. There's just so many things that a good song can evoke. So I think that emotion is the most important thing.
And you know what's really interesting about today is that, back in the day, radio really dictated who made it to the charts and why we heard all these musics. Remember, back in the day, it was all about radio. So you
Yeah.
were you only could hear music that the radio decided to play. And yes, there's a still part of streaming that Spotify and streaming services will put out there more than other songs. But we are now privy to other artists now than any other time. And I do think the 21st century is a particular time somewhere in there. We became privy to hearing music that wasn't just radio driven, that was
Yes.
always a product. Because I worked in radio from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and it was always who is doing well on the charts that put music out there, that's what we heard. But the 21st century, there was a point in time where it was various other ways, social media, and it wasn't driven the way it was before. So it's a interesting list to look at because it is actually looking at not necessarily who radio was driving the force.
Yeah, and it this you know what? You're so right, and I think that is why so many indie artists are out there, and they can actually thrive in this type of space. So I think that it's great for artists like me that don't have I don't have a label, I don't have any backing. I just am releasing my music and promoting it on my own. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. Artists like Amber Mark and she's not really indie, but she's got a label behind her. But like there's so many artists out there that are amazing and they're not necessarily being played on the radio. So yeah, go out and explore.
Absolutely. Maybe at the end of the show, let's promote 2 indie artists that we're into. You just said yours right now?
She's not really indie.
Okay.
I just don't never have heard her on the radio before. But
Well,
let me
since we're
see.
talking about music right now, I'm just gonna promote somebody that my college buddy told me about. Her name is Rochelle Jordan, and,
Ooh,
oh my gosh, the album, Through the Wall is so me. check out Rochelle Jordan. It is a little bit of it's soul. It's a little housey. It's a little Lisa Stansfield. He was right when my friend told me. Thank you, Francisco, for telling me about Rochelle Jordan. And if you find somebody
Yeah.
that you want to promote music wise, besides yourself, because you're coming out with your EP
Just
this
me,
year.
honey. Just me. And Raven Lene, too. Just me and Raven Lene.
Okay, I love it. All right, let's continue with hot topics. What Gen Z gays stoke outrage over claims that nobody over 25 should be on Grindr? Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? One is never too old to find love. We all know that, but the latest example of Gen Z rage bait revolves around the Orange Demon app. Whether gays and theys should check themselves if they're still perusing the grid at 25. 25.
Girl,
What?
let me take
What
a
in
drink
the
of my
name?
soda, honey.
I mean, somebody wrote, "You'll never catch me on Grindr past
Do we die?
25." Somebody posted this past weekend. There is so much Grindr related discourse. It can be difficult to track. A whole separate social ecosystem debate constantly rages about appropriate etiquette. But age, somebody wrote, "If I'm in my 30s and still dating on Grindr, just take me, God." What is happening, Kodi, with I mean, when did Grindr just become like you have to like you can only be on there if you're a young gay? What about the young gays that want to meet older gays? Who says that you can't look for love or sex beyond a certain age? What is going on? Are we letting Gen Z dictate
No.
who and what we decide to? And we're not going to let it happen. I know that, but what do you say to this?
We created Grinder. You ain't getting us off of there. All right. Hello, that broop sound that belongs to us, the boo
Yeah,
boo.
okay.
Okay. I think this is completely ridiculous. You can go on Grinder. You can be ready to hook up at any age. I've definitely had many experiences to where I have been the star of an encounter, so I know from personal experience that when you go on Grinder, you can have fun at any age. I think this is completely ridiculous. I think that some people need to have a reality check as far as ageism is concerned, because it's so prevalent in our society right now. So I think that these people that are out here trying to reduce Grinder to a 25 and below, they need to make their own app. Is what they need to do. They need to go out there and make a I don't want to say babyer. I want to say a twinkter. There we go. There we
Yeah.
go.
It's ridiculous to put that out there because it just speaks ageism. Doug watching us live says, "Wait till they are older, they will change their mind quick." Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, when I was in my 20s, I always had such a respect and admiration, and I was always learning from my elders. In fact, I had them mentors. One of
Yeah.
my best friends, I always called my mentor. He's coming to my wedding. He is
No.
still prevalent in my life. Shout out to Larry. And I just think I learned so much from him and he taught me so much. It was never age related, like, "Oh, you're older, why are you still single?" It was none of that kind of stuff. And I just think that maybe our younger generation should really have a little respect and admiration for those older, or just like leave it alone. Like, yes, you can
Also,
still look for love and sex at any age.
that's what I was gonna say.
And
You know what? People have different seasons, so I feel like, you know what? Don't judge anybody's journey, because you never know. It could be you in 5 years, 10 years,
yeah,
and you wish you looked
absolutely.
this good.
Okay, exactly. Oh my gosh. Let's move on to some advice, which we love giving on this show. And today is no different. You can always write into us. We are here for you for sex or relationships. We'll give our handles at the end of the show, or simply go to our Tags Patreon community, grab a free account, ask us questions over there. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. This one was a really interesting one where somebody wrote in to a prominent website asking the question, "I'm bringing my boyfriend home to dinner.
Mm.
Okay. Do I tell my parents he's trans ahead of time?" That is such an should I read a little bit more? But I don't know that we
Yeah.
really need to. I feel like I
I don't
have
think we really
my
need to.
answer, but my parents know I'm seeing someone. They've seen my posts on social media, and I've mentioned him in conversations. My mom in particular is excited to meet him. I haven't introduced him to family yet. Uh what I haven't shared is that he's trans. It's not that I'm trying to hide it. It's more that I don't know how to bring it up, saying something like, "Hey, mom and dad, I want to bring my boyfriend home for dinner Thursday. You'll love him. Oh, and by the way, he's trans." Feels awkward and almost like I'm turning him into a bigger deal than it should be. And you know what? What I would say to this is no, you don't owe anybody anything. You've met this person. If you really want to introduce this person to your family, introduce them to your family. I made that mistake with my wedding, thinking, getting so much in my head that to my mom, who I came out later in life that I was
Mhm.
gay, but that, oh, mom, should I invite our aunt this and
Oh,
aunt that to the wedding? How will they respond? I started to like put in what I thought they would respond, what she thought. And you know what my mom said was, no, I want you to invite them because if they hear about it from your cousins or somebody else, they're going to feel left out.
okay.
And do you know that a perfect example in answer to this question today was my mom called me up and said she had a conversation with my aunt because my aunt called her up because she got the actual invite in the mail because I
Okay.
had some hard copy wedding invites, and she wanted to say that she's sad that she can't make it to the wedding. And it's a perfect example of acceptance. And no, people, you don't owe anybody, you don't have to overcompensate and tell people that I'm getting married. And by the way, it's to a man, or I am dating somebody. And by the way, it's a trans man. You don't owe people that. Straight people don't do that. Just if you want to introduce them, let them deal with it. What do you say?
I agree with you. I don't think it's any of these parents' business. I don't think it's really anybody's business, honestly. What anybody has in between their legs. I do feel like this is the initial meeting of these people. They should get to know him as a human being first. I think it will eventually come out, and I think it's something that he should be telling to the parents once they've gotten to know him. I do think the knowledge will probably help with any because a lot of times parents say a lot of things that it could be like sticking their foot in their mouth a little bit. I think that that could happen a lot less with the knowledge, but I do think that it's not anybody's business at this point. So I think they should probably wait, and I think that it's something that the boyfriend should be talking to the parents about because I think that when he's comfortable to share that with them, and it shouldn't be like a big announcement or anything like that. It should just come out in casual conversation, as far as I'm concerned.
I like how you say that because, yeah, it can come out throughout the process. Like, let's just say this turns out to be a more long, true, meaningful relationship. Yeah, you're going to start to then divulge more about the person that you're dating to your family and friends through the lengthy. But if it's getting serious and you just want them to meet them, yeah, don't go to that place right away
Yeah,
and make it, because then you'll focus on their identity and just focus on that. You want them to meet the person. But
exactly.
yes, I agree with you. If time goes on, I've shared things to my mother about Diego, my fiance, more and more as time has gone by, leading up to her finally, she's had FaceTime calls with him. She's going to meet him this weekend. And yes, things have come out about his personality, my personality, how we deal with each other, and so on and forth. Yeah, she knows he's gay, I'm gay, but in this situation,
Duh.
but I just think, yeah, it's not necessary early on and none of their business, says Doug, and I agree with that. Do we have time for one more? Let's put Thirst Trap in the mix
Got it. I'll
because
do it.
okay, please. And let's see if I can come up with a quick one. We do Thirst Trap every week, but somebody wrote also on Reddit, not ready for a threesome. So they basically wrote, my husband is 56 and we have been together for 23 years. We've been monogamous this whole time, but recently I've been thinking we should try a threesome for something new and different. And basically, to spice things up, our sex life is nice and there are no real problems. It's just getting a little too routine. I doubt that he will agree to a threesome. He gets really jealous and possessive of me, which I kind of like. And I would never go behind his back and cheat on him. Even if he did agree to a threesome, it would have to be someone of his choice. I am super. He goes on to describe himself. I don't know. Don't go there. I would say on this.
This
You're
sounds like
not
a
ready.
horrible idea.
Girl, don't go there. You
You
have a
in
good
danger,
thing
Molly.
going.
You in danger, girl.
You in danger, girl. It's
This
Halloween
sounds like a
season.
horrible
Wait till the 20.
idea.
Can we just revisit this in 2026? Because I just think the question was not ready for a threesome. You're not ready. He's not ready. Don't go there.
And after 23 years, I feel like that ship has passed. I'm sorry. And your boyfriend is extremely jealous? No, I'm sorry, ma'am. Just tap out on this one. Have live a fantasy. If you can do some VR, have a sex doll. I don't know. Do
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah, this was kind of an easy one just because it was like I think you're just perusing and trying to like add some danger to the mix, but I think it's too much danger.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't really want you to have a horror film in this Halloween season. Okay, we are always available here for you. Relationships, sex, dating. We are here for you because we really ultimately want you to connect. And that is our goal on this show. We will give our handles at the end of the show, but go to our Tags Patreon community. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast and tell us your conundrums and where you're at with all of these topics. But right now, it's time for Thirst Trap, produced by Straight Up Gay Porn. And every week, they ask the question this week out of 16 gay adult content performers who took the best photo. It's our job on an audio podcast because not all of you watch it to vividly describe who we chose and why. And I'll post it on our Tags Patreon community so you can vote as well. Who did you pick and why?
So I picked Dio Ferrero, and he is laying on a bed. He's got one arm behind his head and the other on his fat cock.
Blondie.
He's a blondie. He just jumped right out me. He's got some blue mood lighting on his face. He's completely naked. He's on a bed. He's got this equal sign on his bicep that he's got held up behind his head. He's just really cute. He's got I like his fat cock. I like his blue eyes. So I'm here for it. Go ahead, Dio. I'm going to vote for him right now. Who'd you pick?
This was a really good list. We really encourage you to look. There was people like Dominic Santos, who has a ball stretcher, like a really solid ball stretcher, very hairy, that looks really hot. Somebody else that I was really into was Nick Mask, who I just came back from Folsom Street Fair, has a very
Was he
lycra
there?
top on. He was
Oh,
not there. I wish he was, but he has a really nice ball sack and is giving a really model-esque look to him. And then there were people like
what about Rocky Unleashed? That's a good picture too. I almost
Rocky
picked him
Unleashed
too.
is, yeah, so it's between Josh Moore, but I think I'm going to give it to Rocky Unleashed because
Yeah,
Rocky Unleashed is sitting like, I'm just going to make it up, either South Florida or Palm Springs in
there it is.
one of the two, in a lounge chair, really beautiful hairy chest, like coiffed, beautiful nipples. Dick is like out there. He's
And
got
rock
an
hard
and rock
outside.
hard. I love the shaved head. I love the scruff on his face. I love the facial expression. His legs are spread, so you get a little bit of a hole pick, and he is ready to go. It looks delicious. Rocky Unleashed gets mine. I'm voting on him now. Can you tell me anybody else who is people are
In the
voting
chat,
for?
Dio Ferrero for Bryce. Doug says Mace Brown. Let's look at Mace.
And I'm voting for
17.
Rocky Unleashed. Who is getting Rocky Unleashed is towards the bottom. Who did you vote for?
Dio Ferrero. Is he down
And
near the bottom too? He is. He's in the
yeah, what
middle
is
towards the bottom.
up? Oh
I
my
don't know. We
goodness.
normally have good pickers when it comes to this, but
Keep voting. I'll post this on our Patreon tags. Excuse me, patreon.com/tags podcast. You can follow Kodi on the gram and Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. I mentioned our tags Patreon community. If you feel generous, hey, grab a tier. We can always use the support. And in the meantime, continue having hot
Not
gay
gay
sex.
sex.